Man, um, that is a tough transfer. So Marcel Hartel is going back to Germany to Hannover 96 in the Bundesliga 2. And, just right out of the gate, right? I know I'm seeing a lot of people, online, in the St. Louis City, like fan base and all of that, rightfully agitated, right? When I first saw the news, I was agitated too. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. This transfer sucks. Like, it sucks. It sucks to see as a fan of this team, sucks to see as someone who wants this team to win. And it sucks to see at this stage in the season where St. Louis has been one of the best MLS teams of the last, 10 games? Because in their last 10 games, you have a win against Colorado, a win against LAFC, a draw against DC United, a win against Houston, a win against Austin, a win against KC, thankfully, a win against LA, a win against Colorado, and a draw against Salt Lake City. So this team is flying. Like, this team is on the best run that they've been on since the inaugural season, right? And when you have it come out that, a player really wants to go back home and, all of that, I'm in favor of the player in this case. I want to make that clear. If a player needs to go home, personally, I don't need to know why. As a fan looking on this from the outside perspective, I don't need to understand specifically the reasoning. I think it is unfortunate that it comes at this time, and it sucks. It's terrible. But if there is a family emergency or something that, like, it was reported that there was a ton of, like, it was very important for him to go back to Germany, I am completely in favor of that. Absolutely 1000%. I don't think that, the MLS is necessarily a league that makes it where, oh, you need to play any, like, this is bigger than your family, this is bigger than anything like that. Absolutely not. I don't think any league is like that, really. And I think that, family stuff is the most important. St. Louis, we've had a player in the past who, has had some really, really difficult stuff going on in his life. And so I think that, you know, some stuff is bigger than soccer, some stuff's bigger than football, some stuff is bigger than just playing a game where where you wear shin pads and kick a ball around. And so I don't necessarily, fault him for wanting to do that. I really don't. I don't blame him one bit. I think it is unfortunate that it had to end this way, and I think it does suck, truly, that, for Marcel Hartel, who is worth $4 million, right? To get less than $1 million, that is tough. That is really tough. And for someone to be such a key cog of the success that this team has had, where if you look, he's our top goal scorer and our second top passer, highest FOTMOB rating, and it's not even close. He's up there with minutes played. He is up there with our goals per 90, expected goals per 90, expected goals on target, shots per 90, shots on target per 90, shots per 90, chances created, and it's not even close for chances created. He's double next leading person. Same thing with big chances created. Like, I don't want to undersell how much Marcel Hartel is important to this team. I mean, he was someone who, when he came over from St. Pauli, got them promoted, spent 3 years there, and threw 100 games with like 40 goal contributions. Like, he is a massive piece of what makes this team click. And, when you look at four players, other attacking midfielders, wingers, and players in the MLS, in terms of chances created, he's in the 95th percentile. Shot attempts, 98th percentile. Goals, 96th percentile. This is a really, really good player we're talking about here, right? And since that Chicago game on April 29th, St. Louis has only lost one game, and they've drawn two. And one of those draws technically is a win for St. Louis, as it went to penalties and they won. But if you look at it, in that stretch, you have 2 goals against Houston, a goal against KC, a goal against LA, a goal against Salt Lake, and you have 2 assists in that stretch, and his lowest FOTMOB rating in that stretch is 7.2, and that was in a loss, the only loss in that span. Like, This guy is such a key cog of what makes this team click, and it's unfortunate that he has to go. It really is. No shadow of a doubt, no second questioning in my mind that he is really the best player on this team and maybe the best player in this team's history. I mean, that's something that gets, under talked about. That he could be the best player that this team has ever had. Yes, I know first and second year Roman Berkey was the best player in the league, or at least the best goalkeeper in the league. I understand Edward Leuven, when he's firing on all cylinders, is a dangerous force. I understand Joel Klaus in the inaugural year, but Marcel Hartel has been the longest player, or the longest tenured player who's been this good for this long. And it sucks. It really does suck. And I want to shift over to what he does so well. Right, I've given you the numbers and I've kind of said what he does well, but I want to kind of illustrate how he does everything so well. He's someone where he likes to at points be an inside forward, where he at points he'll play as a left midfielder in the 3-4-1-2 that we play sometimes, 3-4-1-2. He'll be either an attacking midfielder or a left winger. Right, he'll be those two things. He likes playing inside, and he's just really good at with both of his feet. He's able to hit screamers, and he's able to make the tiny little pass. He's able to create pockets of space. He's able to draw the defensive attention and open up space for our strikers, who are not very good. And we will get into the strikers and what this means for them. And when you look at all of the stuff he's done for other players around him, right? If you look at who the other leading like goal scorer, assister on this team is, it's Simon Betcher. Right? Simon Betcher is the leading assister on this team. You know how many of those go to Marcel Hartel? A lot. You know who's second in goals? Sangbin, Chris Durkin. Oh, Simon Betcher. Right? Like, this player is basically the entire reason that our attacking works so well. And it really, really does suck. Like, it is terrible that this has happened. Um, and I think that moving over to the more X's and O's, he's so good at creating pockets of space. Another thing too is that he is someone where he isn't necessarily going to be this flashy player. He isn't someone who's gonna, do rainbow flicks and launch screamers. He'll do this tiny little dribble, move off ball, create a pocket of space, then lay off a through pass or an outlet pass, or he'll go and just take a screaming shot, which he's done in the past. And, he is so important to the entire way that our offense works. When it comes down to how we like to play, which is kind of the press, he is a very willing press player, which I love that about him. And then you also get the standpoint of he's the one who takes our corners. He's someone who takes a lot of our set pieces, or at least he's someone who, is in the conversation for taking set pieces. And he's someone who stepped up in the absence of a couple of other players. And, with that player gone, that frees up a designated player, which the MLS is very weird with how it does things, where you can have a certain number of international slots, U23 slots, which U23, under 23, designated players, which that's where you get players like Messi, you get players like, I think Luis Suarez is still one of those. You get Youngmin Son is on there, Antoine Griezmann, I believe Sergio Roberto is going to be a DP. But so basically, a designated player is someone who doesn't count towards the salary cap. And a salary cap is basically the amount of money that you can spend on your roster. And so he's someone who that doesn't count towards the salary cap. And you only get a select number of slots, right? And so freeing that up is huge, because St. Louis needs a striker. I mean, that's just full stop. They need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. And that just hasn't happened a lot. I mean, I like Simon Betcher a lot. I do think, however, that he is someone who is much better as a final 20 or 30 minutes player, because he is such a great presser. He's someone who gets into the mind of his opponents, but he just struggles with final third execution a lot, very frequently, where there's a couple times a game where you will see him make a play that's like, just put your head down and whip it, where he'll miss the post on something, or he'll just miss it, and it's just like, you were right there. So I think that we need to get a new striker. Full stop. We just need to get a new striker, because in 67 games he has 11 goals, and when looking at his stats compared to other forwards, right? He's 89th in chances created, right? In the 89th percentile. That's really good. Like, that is really good. Defensive contributions, 68th percentile. Aerial duels won, 71st. Touches, 69th. And shot attempts, 78th. Right? All of those numbers sound great. But it doesn't matter if you're seventh in goal percent, in seventh percentile in goals. Doesn't matter. I mean, he's someone where he does everything else right but putting the ball in the back of the net. So I do think there needs to be a new striker coming in this window. And, when mentioning designated players, St. Louis, I believe we had one more than we could have, so we would have to get rid of somebody. Because we have Roman Berkey on a designated player deal, Edward Leuven on a designated player deal, Marcel Hartel on a designated player deal, Carlo Holst, which we will talk about him now. Carlo Holst is somebody who he was brought in from Samsunspor in Turkey, right, for the club's largest transfer fee of, I believe, $5.3 million. And he's someone where I don't think he's as good as Marcel Hartel, at least for what he does, but he is much better defensively than Marcel Hartel in the 82nd percentile. Goals, very similar in terms of when he creates chances and the times that he has the ball, he creates goals, as he is in the 59th percentile for goals, but he's on the 57th percentile for touches. I assume that number will go up. I assume that he will get more touches and more opportunities to create more goal-scoring scenarios. And so I do think that he could be a truly dominant threat. I do wish that I could have seen the Holtz-Hartel combination for our attacking midfielders, because realistically, our midfield was dominant if you look at how good it was at points. Where you'd have Durkin, Edelman, you could have had Leuven, could have had Hartel, and then you could have added in Holtz. And, that attacking midfield, or just overall midfield, would have been dominant to have, right? I do think that we need to go out and get a new striker, full stop, because we tried going out and getting Sergio Cordova, and he just was terrible. We had a ton of expectations. He was someone who tried to do way too much at points where I would see him playing almost as a right back defensively, where it's like, brother, what are you doing? But so I think that there needs to be a new striker coming in this window, absolutely. Otherwise, this is an abject failure. And, when talking about, going out and getting a new striker, that comes down to front office and ownership, right? Our front office and ownership, for lack of a better term, is kind of a joke. Where ever since our inaugural year, we have never been in the top tier of spending money. Right now, we have spent the most money that we have spent ever, and we are still not in the top half of teams when it comes to spending money. And I think that when you look at the players that we've let go, right, or players who, we've let move on, right? We got rid of Gioacchini our first year. We got rid of Joao Klaus, and I wasn't opposed to the Joao Klaus move because I feel like we needed to capitalize on his value. But you look at some of the players we've spent money on, they just don't work. Janos Horn didn't work. Samuel Pedro didn't work. Joachim Nielsen, we ate a couple $1 million in that. That didn't work, right? Roman Berkey, he's not the same player he was, but he's taken up a designated player slot and the only DP goalkeeper in the league. You look at this ownership sucks. Like, this truly sucks. Honestly, I'm expecting us not to go get a striker. I'm expecting excuses. I'm expecting us to say, well, we didn't want to overspend on anything. We didn't want to, we didn't really want to bankrupt the team and do all that stuff. I'm expecting that. I'm expecting excuses, lies, manipulation, and flat out deceiving the fans, because at points I don't believe this ownership actually has the best interest of the fans in mind, because we've never spent money ever since we had our quote-unquote magical run, even though we had a negative goal differential and promptly got annihilated in the first round by Kansas City. We haven't done anything. Like, this team has gone through head coaches like it's going out of style. I mean, we have had, through our first few years, we had Bradley Carnell, right? 50th, just 500 win percentage, right? Cool. And then through 20 games, he had a 15 win percentage, right? Not great. We fired him, brought in John Hackworth. He had a 36% win percentage, and I will say this, Hackworth, I really liked John Hackworth. Bring in Olaf Melberg, right? This is a team who we really want to be attacking. We want to be pressing, doing all that stuff. Let's bring in someone who plays 5 at the back. That'll really do that. That works out well. Cool. We fire him promptly after 15 MLS games with a less than a point per game, right? That works. Bring in David Critchley, right? Critchley, he was monumental to the team in terms of bringing up and developing young talent. And I'll get to young talent as well there, where 32% win percentage. Johan Demey, right, started off the year really rough. He was down there with Olaf Melberg in terms of win percentage. And then he's really taken off as things have gone on, right? This team is seventh in the Western Conference. And, if they win against San Jose and you get some favorable results, you're looking at a team that could move all the way up to fifth here. Like, this is a team that is legitimately competing for a playoff spot. And yes, Marcel Hartel was a key cog of this, but by no means is it only him. Like, we have good talent out there. Thomas Totland has been great. Dante Polvara has been great. Roman Berkey still, despite not being the same caliber of player, is good, right? Sangbin Jeong has consistently been a good player. Edward Leuven, despite not, being the player he was, still a consistently good player. Chris Durkin, if he can stop getting yellow cards, could be a really good player for us. And then, you look at how we utilize some of our players that we brought in, right? We've brought in Falu Fall. He had some injuries coming into the year, right? He was our best player under David Critchley, I think. Like, he was one of our best players. I don't want to say best because Marcel Hartel there. But he was really good, right? He was really, really good when we had him in here, right? And we just haven't played him. Just haven't. Like, this guy had interest from big tier teams. Like, this guy in 2024 was playing in Ligue 1 in France. Like, he was playing in a top tier league, right? Moved over to Norway and he was cool. And now he just hasn't played for us. Like, compared to other center backs in touches, 74th percentile. Chances created, 97th. Aerial duels won, 78th. Defensive contributions, 87th. Goals, 87th. And shot attempts, 98th or 96th. Like, this guy legitimately is a great player, but we don't play him because we value, I guess, experience over him when it's like, we realistically should be able to allow this guy to move up and go to a big tier team in Spain or England and get $25 million for him because I believe he is that good, but we just don't play him. Instead, we focus on Lucas McNaughton, right? Yeah, he's cool, he's good and all of that, but I don't care. I don't care about someone whose contract ends next year. I don't care about a 31-year-old. Right? Dante Polvara, I like him. I like the versatility he brings. I prefer to keep him out there. If we want a three at the back system, cool. But then we've got Timo Baumgartel, who has never really been that great. Where defensive contributions, he's in the 20th percentile. Touches is in the 86th. Aerial duels won 11th. Chances created 9th. Shot attempts 7th. Goals 49th. And most of those come off of set pieces. Like, this guy just isn't very good relative to what we pay him, what he does, and how many minutes he plays. Like, this guy, since May 9th, has played, or actually since May 3rd, in the games, 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90, 90, 120, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. He plays every minute, basically, and he just isn't good. I don't get it. I mean, it's relative for whatever. Like, looking at defensive stats, right? All of that. Blocked shots, not great. Fouls, he's up there. Dribbled past, he's up there. Clearances and clean sheets, he's up there. But he does concede 24 goals while he's on there. And expected goals while on there is up there as well. And he's just not that great. Like, if you look at the per 90 stats, they get even worse. Defensive contributions, 23rd percentile. Interceptions, 41st. Or tackles, 41st. Interceptions, 60th. Pretty deep. Like, okay. Blocks, 33. Fouls, he's up there, though. Don't worry. He will foul. Recoveries, 50th. Possession won in the final third. Pretty cool. 71st, right? That's awesome. Dribble pass, 50th. Or 53rd. Clearances, 31st. Clean sheets, 55. He does concede goals while he's out there. They do concede goals. That's something they concede goals like it's going out of style. And it's just not working. I don't love how we're utilizing some of our players. And I think that we're going to squander an opportunity where we're in the semifinals of the US Open Cup. We could win our first ever trophy, and we're just wasting it because we're not bringing in key players. We're being cheap, and we're going to lose Marcel Hartel due to unfortunate circumstances, and we're going to get excuses and blame from the ownership and front office where, it did make financial sense to go bring in somebody like that. Like, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have, blame going on here, and it's just, it's unfortunate. But we've reached the end of today's video. Make sure to go ahead and comment if you agree or disagree with me. This has been the Scoop with Coop. I'm, of course, Coop, and until next time. So long, everybody.